Hello and welcome to CNC World, broadcasting live from North America. I'm Xie in Washington.
And I'm Henry Parrott. In the last program, we talked about how China contributes to the world through its commitment to enhancing connectivity across the globe, especially through the Belt and Road Initiative. Connectivity is an essential component of China's rapid development. Today, we take a closer look inside the country to see how China's expanding transportation network strengthens connectivity.
And we'll also look into how the government's efforts and technological breakthroughs improve people's lives and how China's success provides a sound example for other countries. Joining me today is Lenny Montiel, senior UNDP official, formerly the UN Assistant Secretary General for Economic Development. Our correspondent Zhang Mocheng from Central China's Hubei province, and Sun Wenji, correspondent from Northern China's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Thank you all for joining us.
Let's start with one of China's signature projects, high-speed rail. China is on the fast track of infrastructure development. Less than a decade ago, only a few Chinese cities were connected by bullet train. But today, China has more high-speed rail lines than the rest of the world combined, and plans to add more than 6,000 miles of track by 2025 to provide even more mobility within and between cities. Let's take a look.
Rail is a reliable and cost-effective means for both travel and transportation of goods. The rail market continues to expand at a stable rate, with China contributing the largest and strongest portion of this growth. Less than a decade ago, only a few Chinese cities were connected by bullet train. Today, China has more high-speed rail lines than the rest of the world combined, and plans to add more than 6,000 miles of track by 2025. Thanks to China's interconnected high-speed rail network, there has been a significant improvement in several fields, including labor productivity, job and industrial growth, and regional development. In June of 2017, China launched the Fuxinghao on the Beijing-Shanghai line. It is the world's fastest high-speed rail with a maximum speed of 217 miles per hour. Fuxinghao means rejuvenation in Mandarin and is both designed and manufactured in China. It is a substantial upgrade from the existing Hexihao, which was launched in 2007 with a top speed of 185 miles an hour. In addition, the Fuxing is more spacious and energy efficient, with a longer life expectancy and better reliability. The Fuxinghao will spearhead China's contribution to the global high-speed rail market. Plans to use the technology are already underway on a forthcoming project in Indonesia.
So exactly how different is the high-speed trains compared to the ordinary ones? So Henry, since you have been to China, did you get a chance to take any of those high-speed trains?
I did.
Share with us your experience.
They're fast. I know that seems kind of obvious to say, but you kind of can't stress enough just how fast they really are. The trains average almost 190 miles per hour, which is roughly 3 times faster than trains in the US. And recently, the first high-speed train designed and manufactured in China, the Fuxinghao, debuted along the Beijing-Shanghai route. It runs at over 200 miles per hour, making China's bullet trains the fastest in the world. China also has the world's longest high-speed rail running between Beijing and Kunming. The ride only takes 12 hours, around 1,700 miles, or about the same distance as New York to Houston.
Today, high-speed rail networks have transformed the transportation map of China. Now we go live to our correspondent Zhang Mocheng in Wuhan, capital city of central China's Hubei province. So, Mocheng, after more than 8 years of development, how is the railway operating today?
Hi, I'm Zhang Mocheng reporting from Wuhan Railway Station, central China's Hubei province. 8 years ago, a high-speed railway connecting Wuhan to Guangzhou, capital city of South China's Guangdong province, was put into operation. As you can see, the railway starts right from here. Running at a maximum speed of 350 kilometers per hour, Wuhan to Guangzhou high-speed railway was hailed as the world's fastest rail journey at that time. The launch of Wuhan to Guangzhou high-speed railway was a great achievement in China's high-speed railway construction. So the benefit of high-speed railway is remarkable. First, it saves time. It cuts travel time from previous more than 10 hours to just 3 hours in the long distance of more than 1,000 kilometers from Wuhan to Guangzhou. Besides, according to my experience, traveling on high-speed rail can save your time in many ways. As you know, a railway station is usually situated not far away from downtown, so you don't have to spend too much time before you get here. And with a phone, you can book your ticket in less than 1 minute. Also, the security check in railway stations has become much more efficient thanks to technological measures such as face recognition system, which is being used in Wuhan railway station right now. So traveling on high-speed rail in China offers a kind of convenient service, just like when you travel by bus or subway. That's why more and more Chinese people love to travel by high-speed rail. And according to National Railway Administration, in the past National Day holiday, Chinese Railway has transported more than 130 million passengers. So to cope with one of the greatest travel peaks in China, an increasing number of high-speed trains have been added to China's high-speed rail network. And to ensure every train is going on very well, a maintenance base was established in Wuhan. Earlier, we have made an area footage of the maintenance base. As you can see from above, the maintenance base in Wuhan is one of the largest in China, and it can handle more than 100 high-speed trains each day. So the high-speed rail network in central China has been operating very well. 谢谢.
Well, that's a great achievement. And besides saving travel time and making the city more accessible, how has the rail network changed people's lives there?
Yes, as you said, the high-speed railway has changed people's lives. As high-speed railway has helped to cut travel time from previous more than 10 hours to just about 3 hours. The connectivity between different regions in China has been greatly strengthened. People are more likely to move, to find jobs, to finish their education, to get better medical care. And different individuals in different regions in China have shared opportunities for further development. And Chinese people now are becoming more connected than ever before due to an expanding network of high-speed railway. In addition, the high-speed railway has helped to improve people's livelihood in those poverty-stricken areas. You know, a Chinese saying says, 要想富，先修路. In English, it means if you want to get rich, you should build a road first. High-speed railroad leads to prosperity. For example, this year I have been to Badong County twice to record how local people there are fighting against poverty. You know, Badong is one of the least developed regions in central China's Hubei province, and it is located in remote mountainous area, and life there had been very difficult. But as the high-speed railway extended to Badong, things have started to change. Local tourism has been boosted as tourists are coming by rail, and the railway has also brought entrepreneurs and investment as well as job opportunities for local people. and green food produced by local villagers has transferred by train to other parts of China. So in many cases, the high-speed railway has contributed to poverty reduction in China. Back to you, Xie.
Thank you, Mo Cheng in Hubei. As Mo Cheng just mentioned, more and more people now live within a 1-hour ride of cities by high-speed rail. It means the trains mobilize the labor force and capital flow around China, pushing investment and technology to less developed parts of the country. High-speed rail benefits commuters and enhances the interconnected economy.
Over the past 5 years, projects included new highways and subway lines. New projects will link rural towns and villages, bringing them into the country's rapidly growing urban network. As the coast continues to modernize, basic manufacturing will gradually move inland. As cities like Beijing and Shanghai adopt more advanced industries, China plans to shift more development projects towards its relatively isolated western provinces.
And from that point of view, the ever-expanding transportation network has been of great significance to China's anti-poverty campaign. Labor, funds, and other resources are highly mobilized. If people can buy a ticket at an affordable price and to get to a city within 2 to 3 hours, that means they have better access to new opportunities and the best social resources.
Absolutely. And thanks to technological advances, China can even build roads and rails on once deserted lands. The Beijing-Urumqi Expressway is one example of this. The high-speed line measures nearly 1,600 miles. And this July, the section between the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region and the neighboring Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region opened to traffic.
For more details, let's go over live to our correspondent Sun Wenji in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Hi Wenji, the expressway runs through desert and prairie areas. The construction work must be extremely difficult.
Yes, the construction work is by no means easy. The expressway has the longest section of road across a desert landscape in the world. It crosses the Badenzhan Desert, the third largest desert by size in China, and the Gobi Desert, the world's 5th largest desert. So one thing is that road builders had to work under poor natural conditions, such as really hot or cold days. The ground temperature could be as high as 60 Celsius degrees. And many of the places the expressway goes through has little water and no electricity, not to mention mobile phone signal or internet access. For example, in Aksa Right Banner, road builders had to get water from 300 kilometers away and generate electricity by themselves. Meanwhile, sandy or windy days also posed a challenge. In Elskalik, around a third of the days in a year could be sandy or windy, and sometimes sandstorms. Road builders say they could barely open their eyes or even stand in the sand days. So above some hard living and working conditions, but building the road also means that builders were far away from their families for a really long time. So loneliness or homesickness, as builders say, is another big challenge.
Yes, but I have to say, they absolutely have done a great job in building a highway there. So can you tell us more about why this project is so important and what benefit can it bring to the areas along the way?
Sure. The new expressway will be the fastest and most convenient access to the sea for China's northwestern inland regions. Specifically speaking, it connects Xinjiang's Horgors Port in northwestern China and Tianjin Port in the east. So the first thing is it will boost the exploitation of regional mineral resources, as along the expressway in Mongolia, Xinjiang, and Gansu are abundant in mineral resources. And for residents nearby, they would also be able to deliver their goods by this expressway and thus have an access to sell their products. And another good news for local residents is that they will be able to get access to water and electricity from the expressway, so their living conditions would be much improved. And another good news is that the expressway will also bring them tourism. Tourism will be developed here. The new expressway is expected to attract more tourists to take a road trip here and visit the tourist sites in northwestern China. For example, I myself have visited some of the deserts, and surfing, motor riding in the desert can be really exciting. And the view, the sunset, the starry night can be really breathtaking. And for locals, tourism will also bring them many business opportunities and help them out of poverty. For example, in Ascoli, a former herder named Wei Wenbing has just opened a store and a restaurant. So hopefully with more tourists coming in, he would be able to make more money from this new business than he did in the past. And finally, it also represents an important component of the new Asian-European land bridge.
Okay, and that's a lot of great news. So the expressway is certainly a big deal for regional development and the poverty alleviation efforts in China's inland regions. But you mentioned the new Asian-European land bridge. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, the new expressway is designed to be an important component of the new Asian-European land bridge under the Belt and Road Initiative. It has shortened the travel distance between Beijing and Xinjiang by 1,300 kilometers, cutting down travel time and cost. So it will not only be the fastest and most convenient access to the sea for China's northwestern inland regions, but also become the fastest and most convenient way connecting Rotterdam, the Netherlands, and China's Tianjin port. So it will strengthen transport connection between Central Asia and Europe, as well as improve interconnectivity between Central Asia and Europe at the same time.
Okay, and I'm sure it'll boost the trade along the way. Well, that was our correspondent Sun Wenji reporting from Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Wenji, thank you. Well, Henry, what's your take on this?
Well, for me as an American, I have to compare efforts like this to my own country. And when I see this happening in China, I find it very inspiring, because I think if we can pull off this kind of effort in America, it would be so inspiring to see that the way people can do greater things when they're united, when they're connected. So I'm hoping that my country will see this effort from China and hopefully do more infrastructure development here in the United States.
Today we also have senior UN official Lenny Montiel joining us live from New York. Mr. Montiel, welcome to our show. China lifted roughly 14 million people out of poverty each year since 2012 and has set the target for eradication of poverty by 2020. So how do you think China's accomplishments in infrastructure modernization contributed to lifting people out of poverty?
Well, China's experience is unique in the world. There have been not as many similar efforts lifting such a huge amount of people out of poverty. In that sense, China is becoming, or has become, a key reference for many governments around the world to see how systematic, constant, and permanent policies addressing infrastructure, investment, trade, and development can, at the end of the day, produce elimination of poverty. In that sense, China's fight against poverty has been crucial. For us also, China's efforts on investment and infrastructure has a particular interest because China's concerns with regards to lifting poverty, people out of poverty, are related not only with questions associated to policies in regular conditions, but also in situations of disasters and particularly now natural disasters. In that sense, let me highlight the important role that China is playing in the recovery of the emergencies after the hurricanes Irma and the Hurricane Maria in the Caribbean. Let me use this opportunity to thank the government and the people of China for having immediately after the hurricanes expressed their sympathy to the people of the Caribbean, but also directly providing support through the United Nations Development Program for the restoration of capacities in the Caribbean islands. This is done through support in the provision of infrastructure. Through UNDP, we will be supporting the restoration of roof of houses, as well as the restoration of working conditions in several schools, 6 hospitals, and more than 20 government buildings in the islands of Dominica and the island of Barbuda in the Caribbean. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, that certainly was a lot of efforts. So how does China's use of greener transportation infrastructure like the high-speed rail contribute to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development?
Well, I would say China's efforts, all in all, are definitely very much linked to the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's remember as well that last year, 2 years ago, during China's G20 presidency, China made an incredible effort to incorporate Agenda 2030 as part of the key commitments of the G20. Therefore, all the policies that China is trying to pursue at this point are directly engaged with the implementation of Agenda 2030.
So what long-term influence do you think China will have on the world in this regard?
Well, I think achieving the SDGs and working towards the implementation of Agenda 2030 to a great extent is thanks to the great influence that China has made on this subject. Let's remember that China was a key player during the negotiations at the General Assembly, not only during the Agenda 2030, but also during the negotiations of the Paris Agreement. So China's influence in these crucial processes in international development will be long-lasting.
And that was Mr. Lenny Montiel from the United Nations, New York. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Today we have seen how China improves the livelihood of people with greater connectivity. This not only benefits China, but the world.
And that's all for today's special coverage of the 19th CPC National Congress. We will continue our discussions on how China's major breakthroughs are changing the world. Thank you for joining us today, and stay tuned to CNC for more of the latest news and headlines from around the world. I'm Xue He in Washington.
And I'm Henry Parrott. Bye for now.